Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brody, how you doing today?
Doing quite good. How are you doing?
Same as a couple hours ago when we were just recorded the Atlantic Division.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about the Atlantic Division anymore.
No, not that silly Atlantic Division.
We're here to talk about the Metro Division.
Yeah. The Metropolitan Division, the other division in the Eastern Conference.
All right, let's just jump right into it.
Dive headfirst in. I guess actually before we dive headfirst in, for anyone if you don't care for the Atlantic Division, didn't listen to that episode. Basically, what we're doing is we're going through the 8 teams in the division in alphabetical order, just kind of doing a preview on what the team might look like, how we think they're going to do, and then wrapping up the talk for each team. We each have a list of where we think each team's place ranked 1 through 8, and we're just going to say where we think that they end up in the division in the standings and whether or not they make the playoffs. So, all that bullshit out of the way. The Carolina Hurricanes starting off with.
Carolina Hurricanes.
What do we think of them? Just under $1 million in projected cap space available, by the way.
Finally, my God, they have been such a good team. And all I hear every offseason is, oh man, they got a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I guess. Right now I'm looking at their cap friendly. They got a great looking team, but man, that's a lot of guys on the injury list. I guess that's like past injuries. Some of these are like,
as I said, the only
from
guy
the middle of the summer.
The only guy on IR right now is Andrei Svechnikov, who should be good to go for the start of the season. As far as I know.
Hopefully. It sounds like he will be. One big thing with them is definitely their goaltending, which they have 3 great goalies. But Freddie Anderson and Antti Raanta are both pretty injury prone. 33 and 34 respectively in age. They're also just only getting older, and that also makes them more prone to injury.
Well, and then that young goalie they have,
Pyotr Kochetkov.
Yeah, like he's making $2 million a year now. You got to figure he's ready to start playing in the league. So now it's, Antti Ranta's probably the odd guy out. What are they going to do with him?
Yeah, and if they can make a decent trade with somebody who needs a goalie, adding Antti Ranta for only $1.5 million, if you think you can keep him healthy, they could get something decent for him.
Yeah. I mean, their goaltending, I think, either way, whatever 2 goalies they run with is solid. I don't think that's an issue for the team. Before we get into forwards, I just want to hop into the defense because there's so much to talk about.
Quite possibly the best D-core in the league.
Yeah.
And they've been known over the past at least 3 or 4 years for always having incredible defensive depth.
And it's elevated even further now.
Yeah.
Bringing in Anthony DeAngelo and Dmitry Orlov, looking at it, you're like that's your decor now there. Like there's no room for anyone else to, like Jalen Chatfield played all year last year at the Hurricanes, looked good, done. They just signed Caleb Jones, bring him in, not making the team. Well, maybe could, but he's not a starter because you've now got Orlov, Slavin, Brent Burns, Brady Shea, Brett Pesce, and Anthony DeAngelo. That is a phenomenal 1-6 on your defense on the blue line for you. Like it's incredible. It's so
either of the guys
good.
That are going to play on their third pairing could play on the second pairing in most teams.
Yeah,
they have
all of them could like that.
Yeah.
Their defense is just so deep. It's so good. That's their strong point.
Absolutely. The only issue I would have with it, and that won't even really affect them this year, is the years remaining. 2 years left on Orlov, Slavin, and Burns, and 1 year left on everyone else. All UFAs, no RFAs there. Yeah. So they're gonna have a lot of thinking to do with how they're gonna structure this defense over the next year or two.
Yeah, this year is
right
really
now it looks great.
All in for the Hurricanes, just based on some of the contracts and whatnot. But going into this year, their defense is just rock solid. Now we're looking more towards their forwards. Like, their forwards aren't even that bad. Like, your 1-2-3 punch at center is, if you roll with like an Aho, a Marty Necas, and then a Jordan Stahl, and then say Jack Drury on the fourth line, very solid. You've still got great wingers in Teravainen and Svechnikov, bringing in Michael Bunting, Jesper Fast, Jordan Martinook, Seth Jarvis, even Stefan Nason, who really kind of brought his career back to life last year, especially on the power play for the Hurricanes. Like, they've got just, and then even Rod Brind'Amour, coach. Like, it's just such a rock solid team, top to bottom, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a reason that a lot of people have picked them to win the cup in the past 2 or 3 years at this point.
Constantly been a cup favorite and always coming up short.
Yeah. So, and rather similarly to the defense, after this year, Teravainen expired, Necas and Jarvis both expire.
They are RFAs,
those two are both RFAs, but Necas making $3 million and Seth Jarvis coming off his ELC
are both going to get paid.
Those are going to be big pay increases.
Yeah.
So they've got to clear up the cap space, or they got to win now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really going all in for the Hurricanes this year. I think they're going to be a great team again. What more do you say? Like, everybody's been hyping them up for years. We know about them. It's just, can they finally do it and put it together?
Yeah.
Where do you have them finishing in the division?
I'm surprised Aho is already 26. If you ever see a picture of his face, he looks so young.
Yeah.
Carolina, I have finishing in the playoffs. I have them finishing second in the Metro.
Hey, I have them number 2 as well. We're staying on the wagon. That's going back to the Atlantic now. That's nine teams in a row we've done. We've got the same spot.
Yeah,
for them all. The only difference is, I'm not going to spoil anything, because if you want to know, go back and watch the Atlantic one or listen to it, whatever. But one of them, I just had one of the teams in the middle, not in a wild card spot, while you did. Yeah. But
so you're going to have an extra playoff team in this video.
Yeah.
In this cast here.
Yeah. Moving on to Hurricanes.
Columbus.
The Columbus BJs, the Blue Jackets, the Yellow Jackets, whatever you want to call them. They've still got a couple more years to go.
Yep. My friend Jared's one of his favorite teams in the NHL because they're the BJs.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all the reason he needs.
Fair enough. This team could in my opinion, either do really well next year or poorly.
Very hard to tell.
And that's the thing, is like, they've made some big moves, going out and getting guys like Damon Severson, Ivan Provorov, and then even at the draft, getting Adam Fantilli, which was huge for them at 3rd overall. And then even just steal. Another year of development for guys like Marchenko, Kent Johnson, Texier's coming back. Zach Werenski's going to be healthy for the full year. I mean, he missed basically all of last year. For me, I think it's a lot. To take a team that was bottom of the league last year. I mean, what were they? They were second last in the league.
Yeah.
I think all of these moves, all things considered, even bringing in Mike Babcock, I just don't think gets them back to the playoffs just yet. Now, I'm not going to say where I have them finishing, but I think they still have a couple more years to go. Maybe even as soon as next year. I think it's just they need a year to really get things figured out, figure out who's going to play with where, and figure out what is kind of going to be that core for them moving forward.
Honestly, with the amount of people they added and the team they have, I would have them in the playoffs if they weren't in the Eastern Conference, which is very strong. If
they were
divisions.
Like, say, in the Pacific Division, I think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think at the very least, in late March they're playing meaningful hockey.
Yeah,
they're pushing for it.
Yeah, but they are in a very tough division. I really do like what they're doing with the team, just from, the stars, like kind of their big three, in my opinion, Gaudreau, Laine, Werenski, I think is solid. And then you still got, just so many good young players coming up.
Johnson,
Cole
Marchenko
Sillinger
are going to be insane for them. Roslovic even looked really good for them the past 2 years.
And then even on defense, you've got Kuhlman, Juracek, Matyachuk.
Bachvist is supposed to be pretty good eventually.
Like they've got the pieces in place right now, and they've got the young guys coming up who are going to take those strides, really develop, really find themselves as hopefully at least, top 6 forwards or top 4 defensemen that can, really carry the weight for the team. But I think they need a couple, at least one more year, especially in a heavy division like the Metro.
Yeah. I'm also a fan of Elvis Merzlikins in net.
Yeah.
I know, especially after last year, people are pretty down on him, but I mean, like you said, the team finished second last in the league. So can you expect the goalie to have decent numbers? Of course not.
Yeah, exactly.
Their top defenseman went down in, I think he played 9 games.
He went down. Werenski went down pretty early.
I should know. I had him on my fantasy team. He. I think he's gonna have a bounce back year. It's hard not to pull for Merzlikins.
Yeah. I mean that's really all for Columbus. I mean, again, it's kind of a team like a Montreal. There's not too much to say on them right now. Like, we kind of know the story with them. But they're going to be one of those teams that we're going to be talking about lots. And
they're going to be bad for one more year, mostly on purpose. And then after that, they're going to come out guns blazing and be looking for the playoffs.
Where do you have the Capitals finishing? Or not the Capitals. Sorry, the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets. The VJs.
I don't think we're going to have them in the same spot. I think this is where the streak breaks. I have the Columbus Blue Jackets finishing outside the playoffs.
You have them at 5.
I have them in 6th.
I have them at 6.
You have them in 6th,
I have them in 6.
You're crazy.
I have them at 6.
I really didn't think we would.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, fuck, you probably got him at I assumed you would have had him at the 5. Just missing out on the playoffs or something.
I assumed you would have had them at 7.
Yeah, no, I got them at 6.
I wonder if you have the same team.
I think the only reason I have them at 6 is because I really like Adam Fantilli's playing next year. I think he's going to do wonders with a guy like Gaudreau and Laine. Werenski's coming back. They really upgrade their defense with Provorov and Severson.
Kent Johnson looks like he's ready to take that next step already, which is pretty early to be getting to that point. But I mean, dude's pulling off Michigan's already in the league.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, he's here, he's ready to go. But yeah, I do have the Blue Jackets finishing 6 in the Metro, but I think they're just going to continue to climb up year after year for the foreseeable future. Moving on. Damn, we're already in the end. The New Jersey Devils. What a team. What a team to talk about. I get giddy even just looking at this team here. I really do. Where do you want to start with them? What are you feeling like?
Projected cap space just shy of $2 million, which is very impressive considering the team they've already got put together. Looks like they're missing their 2nd and their 4th round pick for this next year.
Well, that 2nd is conditional. That's the 2nd that went to San Jose, where if the Devils make the Eastern Finals, it becomes a 1st, and if they don't, it just stays a 2nd.
Right.
So
possibly
let's be realistic. It's
next year.
Probably a 1st, in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see.
But they have an absolutely incredible forward core.
Yeah.
Timo Meier, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Andre Palat, Tyler Toffoli.
That's a gross top 6.
That is a huge top 6.
Yeah, all right. Would you take this top 6 over Toronto's?
Over Toronto's?
I almost might. It's tough. But like, you can make the argument.
You can definitely make the argument. I don't think I do now, but give Heischer, Hughes, and Bratt one more year, maybe. It's a very strong top 6.
And then even going further down, like you've got Eric Holla, who's been Mercer. A great fit there. Dawson Mercer, Michael McLeod, Curtis Glazer. Like you just have like you just have a lot of good forwards there. Like that is such a deep crop of forwards you have. It's just, I mean, there's, again, like it's one of those things where it's like, how much can you say? Because like you're just beating a dead horse, because everybody knows how elite this forward group is that they have.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be better next year. Like Jack Hughes is going to take another step, I think. He sure will. Bratt will. They're going to have a full year of Meyer there, where he's now going to have that chemistry with the guys. They're going to know where he fits.
Jack Hughes signing that contract may directly lead to them winning a Stanley Cup, the same way that Stamkos taking a massive discount for Tampa Bay directly led to us winning 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Like, he took that deal, and other guys could go a bit higher than him, but you can't blow him out of the water. You can't say, oh, Stammer makes 8.5. I want 11 million. No, like,
yeah.
All our top guys capped out at 9.5. And with, of course, Meyer signed for 8.8 and Hughes is making 8. But Timo Meyer, if Jack Hughes signed for 9, I bet Timo Meyer at least asks for 9.5.
Yeah.
He might even have gone to 10.
Yeah.
Like, that's, not only does it give your team more actual room, but it gives them more leverage to be like, you guys should sign for less, or it maybe just straight up gives the other guys incentive to sign for less, because they're like it just has that culture.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, I mean, even their defense, like you've got your rock star number 1 guy, Dougie Hamilton,
really revitalized his career in New Jersey. People started to get a little colder on him. Talking about him falling off a bit. He went there and he brought it back.
Yeah. And then even John Marino is very solid, especially his contract at 4.4 for another 4 years. That's phenomenal. Jonas Siegenthaler, Colin Miller, very serviceable guys. And then you've even got, Luke Hughes coming up. He looked great last year in his short stint.
2 more years on his ELC, so you got that little buffer as well.
You've even also probably, I'm assuming he'll play, but whatever you want to call him, Simon or Simone Nemec, he'll be probably playing next year, I'm assuming, and he's still got 3 years left on his ELC. That's another great guy to bring in. So you roll with Hamilton, Marino, Siegenthaler, Miller, and then Hughes and Nemec. Like that's actually a pretty good defensive core to go with that forward group.
If Simon Nemec and Luke Hughes end up being what everyone expects them to be, like Dougie Hamilton could very easily be your 3rd best defenseman.
Exactly.
That would be absolutely nutty.
Yeah, and then even their defense, like Vanacek is solid. Akira Schmid, he came in last year and was their savior in the playoffs. Like their goaltending, I don't think is an issue, and even if it is, that can easily be addressed at some point.
Yeah, Schmid on his ELC as well, so no worries about cap hit. Vanacek on a 3.4 mil, like that's at the very least, if you have to, that's movable.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Right?
That's very reasonable.
Like I'm just looking very forward to this team. I think they're gonna be just really good. They're gonna be a force. I'm assuming we have them finishing in the same spot.
Yeah,
like I'll start off. I have the Devils finishing first in the mix.
I also have them finishing first and making the playoffs.
Yeah, and I did put a little thing beside them. I think they're probably my favorite to win the President's
Trophy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think whoever wins the President's Trophy is coming out of the East.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So New Jersey Devils, you killed your rebuild. You're on the rise now. You're going to have a great team for years and years and years to come.
I know a lot of people were so shocked last year when they came out being so good. And that whole summer, I don't know, it seemed inevitable. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. For a brief time there, people were thinking Jack Hughes was a bust, and nothing in his development seemed to say that he was going to be anything other than a star. Like, he didn't come out of and debut into the league as a point per play game guy, but he clearly was just developing his game and had the raw talent and will that it was going to happen. It was only a matter of time.
Exactly right.
He is going to lead this team with Nico Hischier to a lot of, at the very least, good playoff runs.
Yeah.
I'm just also going to throw this out there because it's on Cap Friendly. Andre Palat wearing an A with the Devils.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Show in Game 7 against the Devils, showing exactly why.
Yeah.
That penalty kill, shorthanded goal, that is exactly why we loved him in Tampa Bay. Dude plays with so much heart. He just constantly plays above the level that he ever should be able to, just through sheer will.
Yeah.
That was a really good sign.
Yeah, he's been a great fit for the Devils and a great leader in the locker room for them. Moving on to New York. The New York Islanders is next on the chopping block here.
Going to Long Island.
Going to the island.
Zero projected cap space. You do not love to see it.
That's a tough one for them. What do you think for the Islanders going in next season?
What do we got here for trade bait? They're missing a third round pick. They're missing a second 3 years out. Other than that, they got all their picks.
Don't really have much in the prospect pool, though.
No, and that's going to be an issue coming up pretty quick. There is a lot of threes on their age list here, looking at their team. Matthew Barzal isn't exactly a spring chicken at this point either. 26 already.
26,
They're blowing through some of these young guys' careers, and
their average age for their forwards is 29.8. So their average age is almost 30 years old, and their defense is 26. So that's a little bit better. Their
goalies is 31.5.
Yeah, I don't hate the build of their team. I really don't, and I know they get a lot of flack, and I think that's just because a lot of people just simp for the Rangers, and I think it's just becoming trendy to kind of hate on the Islanders a bit for whatever reason. It just kind of seems to be a popular narrative.
Yeah,
but like their team that they've got together, like I don't even hate it. Like if you got a first line of Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal, and Anders Lee, that's not even that bad. Like the chemistry between Horvat and Barzal before the Barzal injury last year was really good. Like they looked really good, and their power play was phenomenal. They just weren't quite able to get that chemistry back with Barzal returning for game 1 of the playoffs. Brock Nelson, I think, is another just super underrated guy in the league. Pajot, one of the best, two-way centermen in the league. Palmieri really kind of brought his career back last year. Pierre Engvall was a great fit with the Islanders, earned himself a nice long extension.
It was a long extension. What was it? $3 million average for was it 7
years? Yeah,
and then we'll see how that ages. But right now, it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah, and then even a guy like Hudson Fasching really established himself as a good third liner last year. And then we know the story at the fourth line: Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, assuming they're all healthy and ready to go.
How long has that been their fourth line?
Quite a while. But it's been working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But it's just, not only do you not see 3 depth guys stay on the same team for so long, but also just they always play together.
Yeah.
Because they've been there for at least 5 years together, right?
Yeah, and this is probably their last go with them, because Clutterbuck's 35, Martin's 34. They've each got 1 year left on their deals. I think it's kind of this is their last go together. Whether or not they all even make the team or all play, or if some are healthy scratch, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not even a bad forward core. Like it's they've got the players that can score and put up points, but they're also, again, they're a very defensive team. That's the way they've been since Barry Trotz originally joined the team. Back a couple years ago, and it's kind of stayed that way even after his departure. Even on the defense, Ryan Pulock, Adam Pelech, great top pairing defenseman. I think they work so well together.
Yeah.
You still got Noah Dobson, Alex Romanov, Scott Mayfield, the other Sebastian Aho.
It's a decent top 6. It's a pretty good top 4.
Yeah. And then I guess we didn't even mention they've got Oliver Wahlstrom, who's going to be coming off IR and looking to really take that next step like Noah Dobson did last year.
Yeah.
If he can do that and kind of become that power play goal scorer they expect him to be, that can help drive the second line probably next year. And then even the goaltending. I mean, Varlamov, I probably put him top 3 for backups in the league. I really can't think
He's a pretty good.
I can't think of too many teams that got a better backup goalie than Varlamov.
Yeah,
and then
there's not a ton of them out there.
Sorokin, in my opinion, modern day Jonathan Quick, I think it's not even a question. He's the most athletic goalie in the league.
He's really good.
He just reminds you so much of a Jonathan Quick back in the day. They've now got him locked in for finishing out his contract this year and then 8 years going on to next year. I really like the look of their team this year. Their future is going to be rough, though.
Yeah, and honestly, in the future, their defensive core does not look that bad, and neither does their goaltending situation with Sorokin locked up. It's really just their forward core. And their forward core almost has a very similar issue to what we were saying last episode with Detroit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think their first line is a good first line. It doesn't scream cup contention.
If they were to win a cup, it would have to be by committee, like lines 1 through 4, pairings 1 through 3.
You'd have to be getting a certain amount of goals from Cizikas, Clutterbuck, and Matt Martin, which I don't know if you can depend on.
Actually, Matt Martin's pretty clutch in the playoffs, so we'll give him that. Yeah, he actually scores some pretty big goals in the playoffs.
Other than maybe Barzell when he's really on his game, you don't have that game-breaking talent. You have that borderline elite stuff, but you don't have that guy who will you can depend on in that game 7 to steal you the night.
Yeah, exactly. Unless Sorokin happens to do that.
And that can always come from the net. We've seen that plenty of times in the playoffs in the past. But I feel like we're entering this some sort of era in hockey where there's just better teams almost. I feel like the 10th, if you were to rank all the teams 1 to 32 and you took the 10th best team right now versus the 10th best team from 2014, I feel like the one nowadays would destroy that other team, you know? I feel like the skill in the league has just gone up so much that your team just has to be good top to bottom. Exactly. You can't have too many holes.
Exactly right. So where do you have the Islanders finishing?
Long Island. I have them finishing 5th in the Metro Division.
I have them finishing 5th as well.
Outside you have them playoffs.
So this is where it comes in, because I have them 5. You have them outside the playoffs. I have them making it.
I figured that's exactly how yours would be.
I have them just squeaking in. And that goes back to last one where I had Florida at 4. I think it's very similar to what happened this year. I think the Islanders just squeeze in, and I think, again, like I mentioned, I'm not going to go back on it, but I did mention why I felt that way about Florida. But with the Islanders, I mean, you can count on Sorokin to steal you at least 8 to 10 games right there. I think you get a full year of a healthy Barzell and Horvat playing together, developing that chemistry.
Yeah,
Engvall looked really good where he slotted in.
Yeah.
Noah Dobson, I think, is going to just take a step even further and put up even more points and help elevate that offense. I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be by committee. The whole team, top to bottom, is going to have to show up and put in the work. But again, that's nothing new. That's the same as what they've had to do for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So they already know their assignments. They know what they got to do. It's just going out and executing. And I do have them just squeezing into the playoffs there in that 5th spot.
I don't think they can get more points in the regular season than a team like Florida. But when you have a goalie with that skill and a decor like that, I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see Bo Horvat really find his game with the Islanders. I know a lot of people were pretty down on the contract, but I think he definitely has the talent to live up to that, especially with the cap going up in the next few years on that long deal.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that ages, but
yeah.
Definitely possible for this team.
Yeah. Moving on to the other New York team, the New York Rangers.
0 projected cap space.
The team of, if any big name is ever even rumored, they're immediately in on them.
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking annoying. I honestly, I don't want to talk about the Rangers. I really don't.
It's not even their faults. It's just they're one of the biggest teams. It's the same with Toronto. Is there a big free agent? They're at least rumored. Even if they've got no cap space and they don't need a player like that. They're still rumored.
And you know what the crazy part is like Peter Laviolette was just signed by the Rangers this year, like this offseason, right?
Yeah.
I put him in the hot seat of, like, in the top 5 for coaches on the hot seat. I'd put him in there.
Yeah.
Like, the Rangers haven't kept a coach for longer than, 2 years?
Yeah.
They bring a guy and it's like, oh, we did great in the regular season. We lose in the playoffs. You're done. We're going to the next guy. And it's not even, new guys. They're just recycling all these old coaches that have bounced around from team to team. And they're like, oh, maybe this is the guy. Maybe this guy. The Rangers have a good team. They've got some bad contracts on the books. But they've also got, some good contracts in place. I mean, the skill's there. Up front, like Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Trocheck is kind of their big four up front. On defense, you've got Adam Fox. I mean, you've got Trouba, but that contract is pretty bad. Keandre Miller you've got, which is solid. In net, Shesterkin. They got Jonathan Quick as a backup.
Quick now.
I think their issues they run into is just like, I know Jacob Trouba is your captain, but realistically, I don't think any Rangers fan can be like, oh yeah, he's worth $8 million. Like, we're okay with that. No. Barclay Goodrow, I knew it from the moment he signed with the Rangers. That contract is going to come back to bite him. Just a little over $3.5 million for another 4 years. I mean, Tampa Bay just elevated him, hyped him up, bumped him up, and the Rangers went all in because they're look at this guy. And
in those playoff runs, he was worth that, but that's because that line was not just a sum of its parts. It was better than that.
Exactly.
That third line played like a low-tier first line. Like, they were great. Yeah. Random thing that I'm just noticing here, they got, on Cap Friendly, they got Jacob Trouba listed as a C, and then they got 4 other players listed with A's.
Yeah.
Zibanejad, Panarin, Kreider, and Barclay Goodrow.
Yeah. I guess also worth knowing, they still got Capo Caco. Alexei Lafreniere now is officially signed with the Rangers, signing a 2-year deal at $2.325.
Smart move to at least retain your RFA rights.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if he wants to stay there, but I think he believes that he has a good chance to win a cup there.
I genuinely believe by the time this 2-year deal is up, we could very well see Lafreniere sign a Philip Zadina contract. Like a 1-year prove-it deal with a bottom feeder team. Just to try and prove that he can...
I think it would be a lot more money, just because I think people are going to see...
if he stays a third line or fourth line with no power play time,
But you know that he probably has the skill, just hasn't been given the time. Like if the Sharks go out and say, here's $1 million for 1 year, prove yourself, there's going to be another team. Like the Blackhawks are going to jump in and say, here's $2 million, join us. Yeah,
but I'm just saying kind of in that scenario, like he's going to be 23. If he can't establish himself with the Rangers, like not many other teams are going to be willing to be like, taking a huge risk on him or anything. But I even like the depth signs. You got like Blake Wheeler.
Blake Wheeler was a great
800,000. Nick Bonino. 800, like those are two guys you can roll with either on your third or fourth line. You know what you're going to get out of them. I mean, I don't like the Rangers, but I do got to admit they do have for the most part a pretty solid team.
Yeah, they
thrown together.
The only thing you can really argue too much is maybe depth, and I guess in this past playoffs, a lot of their stars really didn't show up too much.
Yeah,
against the Devils, but that happens. The Devils were great, and they still pushed them to a Game 7.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. As a Tampa fan, he always jumps off the page. Mika Zibanejad. Dude, every time we play them, he just lights us up.
Yeah.
Dude is so freaking annoying.
Yeah, I mean
great shot.
Yeah, like the Rangers are good. We know they're going to be good. I'm assuming we probably have them finishing same spot here now that we're kind of getting down to the bottom list of teams here. I do have them finishing third in the Metro.
Yeah, I also have them finishing third in the Metro.
The streak continues. The streak continues. I mean,
how long did you think of this? Did you just write these up?
I literally did these just before same time as you did.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on from the Rangers because I don't want to talk about them anymore. I don't care for them.
I don't see much room for us to have really differing opinions unless we have 7 and 8 maybe different.
Exactly right.
Unless you're going to surprise me with your number 4.
The Philadelphia Flyers. I don't.
Oh boy,
they're gonna be bad. Bad.
It seems
bad.
It seems like they at least know it now. Seems like they've been in denial before, but now they've got 2 first rounders this year, and they have 2 second rounders as well. Yeah, it's.
I mean, really, all they got up front is. We don't know what's happening with Cam Atkinson and Sean Couturier, so I'm just going to kind of leave them out right now because we really don't know fully when they're going to play and all that. If they come back, are they even going to be with the Flyers? Are they going to be moved? I don't know.
Yeah, Ryan Ellis.
Ryan Ellis, I think he's done from what I'm reading.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it sounds like it's not very likely that he comes back to the NHL and ever plays.
And that's something that when they traded for him, they knew was a very real risk. They were trading for a guy who had been injured before and has been injured for long times before.
Yeah.
So, it was a calculated gamble, but it was also a gamble. So
yeah. But on their forward, you've got Travis Konechny, Joel Farabee, Scott Lawton, Owen Tippett, nothing really after that. Noah Cates, Hathaway,
and
Delorier.
I mean, even then, on most teams, those guys are second liners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's a weak forward core. Your top forward that's playing right now, Konechny, is only taking up 6.6% of your cap.
Yeah.
Your top 3 guys is Couturier, Atkinson, and Ellis, and none of them are playing.
Yeah.
Your second highest paid, or your third highest paid forward, Scott Lawton, is making $3 million. They're paying Kevin Hayes more money to play for the St. Louis Blues than they are on their third best forward in Scott Lawton.
Did they buy him out?
They retained salary in a trade.
Okay.
So their forward core's rough. I mean, defense, you've got Travis Sanheim, who I'm a big fan of. Cam York, I'm a big fan of. Rasmus Ristolainen, just his career completely just shattered and fell apart. That's a dead contract now. You've got Carter Hart, who could bounce back, but overall, this is just this is probably, and I know a lot of people are saying that the Sharks are gonna finish last in the league, they're the worst. I really think it's gonna be the Flyers.
San Jose at least has guys that I could see going to the All-Star game,
and they've got those prospects that could come up and put up good numbers and be serviceable. The Flyers don't even really have many prospects. They're going to come up.
They're just on cruise control until Michkov comes over.
That's exactly what it is. I think the Flyers are, especially in playing each Metro team 2 or 4 times, the Atlantic teams 3 times. The Flyers are going to be bad.
I think they have to do. I think they need to. Now that they have Cal Peterson,
They need to trade Carter Hart.
I think they need to play Cal Peterson against all the best teams. And every single time San Jose or Anaheim or Arizona comes to town, you play Carter Hart. You try and get him wins, make his stats look real nice, and you try and chip him off for as much as possible.
Teams will see through that bullshit, I think, though. I think they'll pay.
I think you might be giving some NHL GMs a little too much credit. I think some of them are deceptively not that smart.
It's like a team that would trade for Carter would be a contending team. And all the contending teams have pretty smart.
Or a team that's like rebuilding, you know.
But a rebuilding team, you wouldn't give up one of your top prospects or a first or something for Carter Hart.
No, but a team like a Montreal might take Carter Hart and give up next year's first, you know, top 10 protected probably.
I don't know. I just feel like too many teams would just look through that. Like, I think if they want to trade Carter Hart, I feel like it's got to be before the season starts. I don't think you can roll with him and have him. And especially, I don't think Carter Hart is going to be happy being a backup. Like, he's already 25, and he's been the starter. I don't think he wants to be like.
It doesn't even have to be a backup necessarily. Just like, don't be playing him against. But New Jersey,
I think you just kill his morale and his confidence if it's like, regardless of the situation, if you're like, hey, you're going to basically not be playing against the good teams, the best of the best. We're going to play you against the Mickey Mouse teams, so to speak.
Yeah. But if you let him know that, and that it's because you want him to play well so that you can shine him up real nice and trade him, and you like let him know that.
If I was Carter Hart and they told me that, I'd be like, fuck you, trade me now. Why would you ruin an entire year of my career just so you guys can maybe get more from me? If I was Carter, I'd be like, fuck that. Like, I want out now then. Because I don't think he wants to play 30 games against bottom feeder teams for an entire year just so the Flyers can maybe get an extra pick. You get to make a lot more money
that way. And I mean, at the end of the day, he is an RFA.
I think all he can do is sign a bridge deal at this point. Like maybe a 2-year, $3 to $3.5 million deal, and it's kind of a prove it. Like, go somewhere. If you can make it, you get the big boy bucks. If not, it's too bad. You stick around that kind of 3 to 3.5.
I still think he clearly has the talent. It's
100%.
It's just the fact that, like,
and honestly, you put him on a
team is just so bad.
You throw him out there in net against teams like Anaheim, Arizona, San Jose, they probably still fucking light up the Flyers pretty good. Like, they've got a bad team.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have much to say. Like, I've got him finishing 8th. I already said I got him dead last in the league.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're on cruise control until
way outside the playoffs.
Until Michkov comes over. Is where the Flyers are at right now.
Yeah. Which really sucks, especially for, you know, a guy like Sean Couturier, you know. I still remember when they were taking the break going into the playoffs because of COVID in 2020, and the Flyers were on such a hot streak going into the playoffs, and then in the play-in round they like dominated the 3 teams they played. They were already in, I believe, but like just, you know, they had every team play 3 games, and I just remember seeing them dominate, and I was thinking like they were the team I was most concerned about if Tampa wanted to win the cup that year.
Yeah.
Like, what a fall from grace in only 3 years.
Yeah. Moving on, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
0 projected cap space.
All the talent in the world.
They got a lot of big boys up front. Missing quite a few draft picks. First rounder this year, second rounder next year, third rounder this year.
All worth it, though. All worth it if they can get that one final cup with Crosby and the boys.
Absolutely. I mean, almost anything you do is 99% of the time worth it if you end up with a cup.
Yeah.
They have a pretty solid forward core. Of course, headlined as always by Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Brian Rust, Ricard Raquel, Riley Smith,
Jake Gensel,
Jeff Carter, Jake Gensel.
He's going to miss a bit of the
incredibly underrated Jake Gensel. I swear every year I pick him up in fantasy way later than I ever think he'll be available, and he's always great. Yeah,
and then even, I mean, you know, Jeff Carter's agent, but could still be a solid 4th liner guy. Lars Eller, Matt Nieto, Rem Pitlick, Nola Chari, like, they've got the top guys that are like good, like they're franchise elite players, whatnot. But they've also got very solid depth all the way through their lineup.
Nola Chari, I did not realize they got him for 3 years at $2 million. That is a great contract.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Even Matt Nieto, like he's making $900,000. You're still gonna get probably 15 to 20 points out of him. Play on their top penalty kill unit, like that's great value there. I mean, and then the defense, like the new guy, Erik Karlsson, Chris Letang, Ryan Graves, they just brought in from New Jersey, Marcus Pettersson, P.O. Joseph, Chad Ruhwedel, Ty Smith, like fuck, I'm like, man, do I almost have the Penguins too low? Yeah. Spoiler alert, I'm assuming we have the same. We have the Penguins in 4th.
Yes.
Yeah. And making the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So look at that. And then, spoiler, Capitals 7. We got them all right. We just went 16 for 16 on our picks, having the same.
Wow.
That's sick.
I really didn't think you'd have Washington in 7. I thought it was wild, but I'm just not high.
Yeah, I was like, man, that feels so weird putting that low, but I'm like, I just don't see them finishing higher than any of these other teams. I really don't.
Yeah, unless their power play just lights it up super hard with Karlsson and then maybe
John Karlsson.
Yeah, John Karlsson and then Sandin on the second power play. Yeah. But right now we're talking about Pittsburgh. And
Tristan Jarry in net.
Tristan Jarry in net. Alex Nedeljkovic, the backup. I still think Nedeljkovic has the talent to be better than he's at least shown. I think he can at least... I think right now he's fighting for a job in the NHL.
Yeah.
And I think he has the skill to at least not be fighting every day for it.
And Nedeljkovic realistically could play in the minors this year. Like Joel Blomqvist could easily pass him and take that that backup role.
Yeah, and... hopefully Tristan Jarry. Has Tristan Jarry had many injury?
He's had a couple. Nothing super like crazy or major, but he has had a few over the years. So that is an area of concern for the Penguins. But I mean, like they've already shown with Kyle Dubas, like if he goes down with a long injury, he'll go out and get someone. Yeah. Like they are, especially after the Erik Karlsson trade, like they're all in. Like they're doing what Boston did. Another like a couple. I mean, they're actually in a better position than the Bruins were because I don't see Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Karlsson, any of them retiring in the next couple years. So they've got this core that they're running with now. Like this is their group for one more cup.
Somehow Kyle Dubas went from he was on the team with the most pressure to win right now in the league, and he somehow went to another team that is all of a sudden now under the most pressure to win right now.
Yeah. He
changed teams and went from 1 to 1. Like, it's wild. And he has a great relationship with everyone he deals with. Like, I really believe that he got guys like Nola Chari at the price he did because he was so cheap. I think it was Jason Spezza followed him to Pittsburgh, right? I believe Spezza signed on.
Yeah, Spezza was brought in, yeah. And now he's reunited with Karlsson as well.
Yeah.
Two of them back from their Ottawa days. I do think Pittsburgh's going to do very well. Again, they're in a tough Metro division. I could realistically see them finishing anywhere in that bunch. Like if their team can stay healthy, if Jake Gensel can come back early, if Karlsson can do what he did last year with this Pittsburgh group, this Pittsburgh team could be very dangerous and very fun to watch.
I think Crosby gets back over 100 points this season. I think people keep waiting for him to fall off, and I think people are looking at it happening way too early.
I was also
he is Sidney freaking Crosby. He's only 36. Like, he's not going to stop being a point per game player until he's 39.
And speaking of point per game, within the next, we're talking about Pittsburgh and the Washington's next, so just lump them in together. But within the next 2 to 3 years, we could realistically see Crosby and Ovechkin both break one of Gretzky's most prestigious records. which is Ovi, obviously the all-time goals record. And Crosby, if he finishes a point per game this season, he will tie Wayne Gretzky for the most point per game seasons in NHL history.
Is that consecutive or just total?
I think just total.
Wow.
At 19. And then if he can do it the following year and get to 20, he'll hold the record for most point per game seasons in NHL history.
And I'm looking at Cap Friendly, and he's signed for 2 seasons.
And he's going to sign for at least 2 seasons. Playing after that, I think.
Carlson and Letang are signed for the next 2 seasons. Like, at the least, this team will have the guys there, at the very least, to have him be point per game, even if they're not contending for a cup.
Exactly, right.
I think it's incredibly possible, and I think he's going to do it. You never bet against Sid.
Yeah, right. And then wrapping it up, Washington Capitals. We both obviously have them finishing 7th outside the playoffs again.
We both got them underneath Columbus. Which I don't know if that'll be a popular opinion, but I mean, without collaborating, we both had them there. That says something, doesn't it?
Well, that thing is, like, you don't know what you're going to get out of Nick Backstrom. Kuznetsov wants out. Oshie's up there. Like, TJ Oshie's 36. So he can't play the way he used to. Anthony Mata, don't know. I mean, I thought he was going to fit well with Washington. Obviously not. He's kind of been involved in trade rumors. Their defense is aging, and I mean, aside from John Carlson, like, there's really nothing super high end.
How did they get Sonny Milano at 1.9 for 3 years? Wasn't he a free agent for months?
Well, he played with them last year because no team wanted him. He did a PTO with Calgary, didn't get a contract,
exactly.
Went to Capitals. I think it's one of those things of, like, his career was looking like it was pretty much done in the NHL, at least for the time being.
Exactly.
And Washington took a chance on him, and this is his way of kind of saying thanks. I'll sign a pretty cheap deal with you guys.
No, I'm saying he had PTOs with other teams, and nobody was signing him. How'd they not get him for $1 million a year?
Well, he did pretty well last year because he played last year with Washington.
Oh yeah, but the year before that, when he was with Anaheim with Zegras, he put up 40 points and couldn't find a job after that year.
Which is weird.
It's just so strange that nobody wanted him, but he was still able to demand that high.
Well, this is a new contract. He only signed a 1-year deal with the Capitals.
Oh,
so he just re-signed with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't just give him 1.9 right out of the gate. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, if nobody else is looking to sign him, I don't know why you'd give him that much.
I'm pretty sure he got a 1-year league min and then re-signed. Also, Dylan Strome's making $5 million. He's got that contract extension that kicked in. They got Darcy Kemper still in net. Like, that's solid. They do have Max Pacioretty that they signed. Don't know what his health is necessarily going to be when he comes in. Basically missing all of last year after tearing his Achilles twice. That's tough to come back from.
That is so brutal.
And he's also, 34 years old.
Didn't he tear it on like a nothing play the second time as well?
Yeah, he
like
turned.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he just turned and it just.
Yeah.
Like that is.
It was a tough one. It was tough to watch. You got to feel for the guy. It'll be interesting to see if and when he's healthy, where he slots in with the Caps. I'm assuming probably on like something like the second line. You can't have him and Ovi together because they're both goal scorers. Like,
they'll just cannibalize each other.
Yeah,
but yeah, if they can
see Washington going towards a rebuild.
Yeah,
it's starting to look that way.
At this point, it's really surround Ovechkin with enough guys to chase Gretzky's record.
At the end of the day,
really what it comes down to.
It would be sad to say Washington's going through a rebuild and Ovi never got that cup. But the fact that he basically almost single-handedly willed the Capitals to win a cup, and now he's got one, it's like, okay, they're going through a rebuild now. Like, it's not like all doom and gloom, like Ovi's shot of winning a cup with the Caps is done. Like, he's got it now. Maybe in that final year of his contract, maybe he goes somewhere else for another one. If he's already broken the record with the Capitals, I could see it.
I don't.
Anything can happen.
I think he's one of those guys that wants to stay there, but who knows? It's really just watching Ovechkin chase that record, and if they can put together a really good power play with Ovechkin and Carlson, quarterback you get, and then, maybe you got Pacioretty pretending to be Ovechkin on the second power play and Rasmus Sandin pretending to be Karlsson on the second power play. Maybe they put up some decent numbers and snag a couple wins they shouldn't have otherwise gotten, and maybe they make something out of it. But
it is possible. Like this team, I wouldn't say they're
Charlie Lindgren, Darcy Kemper's a pretty good tandem.
Yeah,
I could see them doing good. At the very least, I could see them beating out Columbus.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just very high on Columbus's young guys more than anything, and Washington's just getting older.
Exactly. I doubt there's much shot in them making the playoffs at this point.
So just to kind of recap back through, we both had the Devils first in the Metro, Hurricanes second, Rangers third, Pittsburgh fourth. We both have them making the playoffs. We both have Islanders 5. I have them making the playoffs. You have them missing.
Yeah.
We both have the BJs at number 6, the Capitals at 7, and the Flyers at 8. Capitals caught a stray there, but that's fine. That's our Metro breakdown. The Metro division there, the Metropolitan. Anything else you kind of want to whip out, slap down, throw in at 10 this one off?
Do we want to do the
GMs.
top GMs?
Yeah, we're finishing off the polls here.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up here in this episode with the top 32 GMs because there's only 32 GMs. We're going to go through them.
Yeah, there's only one per team. And we can go through these similar to the coaches a lot quicker than we did the players because obviously as fans you guys would be a lot more familiar with the players than the coaches or GMs. So it's not as interesting as a conversation too much. Especially for, rebuilding teams. It's hard to tell until they're out of the rebuild who's done a good job.
Exactly, right? I'm curious to see where Big Money Mike ends up.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably like fucking 30,
But just to start this off, shout out to user Homicidal Penguin for setting all these up. All these Reddit polls. He's the one who put them together and set them up. All right. Well, we'll start at 32. A fair bit below number 31 in votes. It's almost like people actively avoided voting for this guy. Number 32 from Vancouver, Patrick Alvin.
Yeah, that is fair.
It
is fair.
Look at almost all the trades he's made in the past few years.
And then signing JT Miller to that big extension, and now they're trying to move him like it's ruining Brock Besser's confidence, and he wants to stay, but they're like, we don't want you, and it's just messy there. Just messy.
If they had a decent GM, we wouldn't even be considering the fact that Quinn Hughes might want to go to the Devils, but to so many people it seems like a foregone conclusion eventually, just because of how doom and gloom it seems in Vancouver. Yeah. Which might be because of the owners, because the Aquilinis, they get involved so heavily in the process that maybe it's just too hard to GM for them. But number 31, Craig Conroy for the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, and that's fair. He's new, hasn't really done anything, so that's fair.
Yep.
I expect him to move up the list by next year, but that's a fair start.
The first 12-ish are either guys who are blatantly have done badly in the past few years,
or they're brand new,
pretty new. Number 30, Daniel Briere on Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Number 29, the man himself, Mike Grier.
You can't have Big Money Mike at 29. He is not.
He is.
I would have him higher. I wouldn't have him top 20. I'd have him 22, 23. But all right.
I can definitely see some names above there.
Just because he's doing a rebuild right.
Yep.
He knows how to do a rebuild. So I'll give him that.
Yeah. Number 28, Pat Verbeek from Anaheim.
Okay.
Number 27, Lou Lamoriello from the Islanders. Which I'm not going to argue too much on that, personally. 26, Kyle Davidson on Chicago. 25, Brian McClellan, Washington. 24, Bill Armstrong in Arizona. 23, Ken Holland in Edmonton. It's always interesting to see the teams that are high up in the standings have GMs that low. But at 22, Kevin Cheveldayoff in Winnipeg.
Really? Wow. All right.
21, Chris Drury, the Rangers.
Yeah.
Number 20, Brad Treliving in Toronto.
I feel like that's a bit low for him. Like, I know there's flaws to him. People rag on him, but I would still have him a bit higher. I'd have him around like 12 or 13, I think, still.
I want to say I'd have him a bit higher, but it's hard to say.
I guess I'd have to listen to the guys that are after him here.
It feels like he should be higher, but I'm looking at the list above him, and I don't know how many of these guys I'd put him above. 19, Pierre Dorion on Ottawa. 18, Kent Hughes in Montreal. They got Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal there right in a row. Number 17, Barry Trotz from Nashville.
See, but like, how? Like, that's just people dick riding Barry Trotz, though.
It's kind of hard not.
Because, like, you have Big Money Mike down at 29, who's been slaying the rebuild, and then fucking Barry Trotz just waddles his ass in. And what has he done? He signed Ryan O'Reilly, and then bought out Matt Duchene.
That was awesome, though.
Like, and that's like, oh yeah, that's deserving of being in the top 50%. No. Earn your stripes first, Barry. I mean, he has as a coach, but as a GM, like, he's done nothing.
That's very.
That's a very bizarre one, but that's just people meat riding, fucking Big Dick Barry.
Hey, if he's got the meat, someone's got to ride it.
Yeah.
At 16,
fuck man,
we got. I think this guy should be a bit higher.
At 16.
At 16, Jarmo Kekalainen from Columbus.
Yeah, I'd have him higher. It's just a Columbus thing, though. People don't care about Columbus as much.
Yeah. In retrospect, I think people have him higher later on. At 15, Doug Armstrong, St. Louis.
Yeah.
14, Bill Guerin, Minnesota.
Yeah.
13, Rob Blake for the Kings.
The Kings.
At 12, Kevin Adams on Buffalo.
Okay. Buffalo getting some respect. I like it.
They're starting to get some respect around the league. Tage Thompson has really turned the franchise around.
Yeah, really has.
11, Don Sweeney, Boston.
Bold.
That's
bold.
That's a bit low.
Yeah, it's a bit low for him.
I'm not the biggest Boston fan, but that's
pretty low.
That's pretty low.
That's very low, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
10, Ron Francis in Seattle. Number 9, Bill Zito, Florida. Number 8, Chris McFarland on Colorado. 7.
Huh?
It's not him, is it?
No.
Because there's his...
Joe Sakic.
It is Sakic, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was crazy, but I was like, I don't know, that's what's written. Do you want to Google who the hell Chris McFarland is? I wonder if you put the wrong name, because that's not a set... Or 8 isn't a terrible spot for Joe Sakic. I'd probably have him a bit higher, but I wonder if they just put the wrong name.
What the fuck? How... That is their GM, Chris McFarland. For over a year.
Okay.
Chris McFarland on July 11th, 2022 was named the general manager of the Avalanche as Joe Sakic moves to hockey ops with the Avs.
Oh, okay.
But everybody still talks about Joe Sakic like he's the GM.
I guess just because Sakic put the team together, it's kind of like...
Yeah, how can you have McFarland? Like, what has he done?
He hasn't done shit.
He's done nothing.
He traded away Newhook. What an idiot.
Yeah.
I hate this guy.
That's a little too high. He's just fucking feeding off Joe Sakic's glory.
Just chowing down on it. Speaking of guys chowing on old glory, number 7, Steve Yzerman.
Wow, Yzerman's down at
Detroit.
7. All right.
You thought he'd be higher?
Breezeball's in the top 3, man. I swear.
What, you don't like him?
I would not have him. I'd have him top 5, not top 3, I don't think. But I'm curious how these last ones go.
I'm surprised this guy's this high, but he's done a good job. Number 6, Jim Nill on Dallas.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm very happy with that.
Number 5, Kyle Dubas on Pittsburgh.
Wow. The Doobie gets in the top 5.
Doobie does it again.
And after the Carlson trade, I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah?
Fair enough.
Number 4, Don Waddell, Carolina.
Yeah, he should be higher. I'd have him top 3.
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Hard to argue with the top 3, though. At number 3, Kelly McCrimmon on Vegas. Number 2, Tommy Fitzgerald on New Jersey.
Breezeball should not be
Number
one.
1, Julian
What has he done?
Breezeball.
What has he done, though? Like, aside from handing out 8-year deals, what moves has he made, though? That
He's locked up
were
the
his?
core.
Yeah, anyone could have done that.
Well, not
Like,
not
what
the
signings has he made? What trades has he made? Like, the Tanner Janot? Like, I mean...
So that didn't work out great, obviously, but
I think he's
He traded for Coleman and Gaudreau going into the playoffs and created that third line. He traded for Hagel.
Was that not... Well, the Hagel one wasn't Yzerman. Oh, no, Yzerman was gone.
No, Yzerman's been gone for a bit longer than I think people realize. That's why I'm starting to sour on Yzerman in Detroit, because he's been there for
I guess,
5 years.
I don't know. I think that's a little... I would still have him, like, top 5. I think...
I can definitely see the argument to not have him number 1.
I just don't feel like he's made big enough moves or anything. Like, he's really only just kind of signed contracts lately. Like, top 5, even 3rd is fair, but I feel like who is Dallas? Nill?
Jim Nill.
I would have him almost... I'd probably have him at 2, and I would have Waddell as 1, I think.
I'd have Don Sweeney a lot higher than 11.
Yeah, Don Sweeney should be a lot higher. Like,
pretty rough.
People literally it's the same people that have sat there and jerked off Allmark and Swayman because of one good year last year. And then Boston Jim, they're like, yeah, he's not that good. It's like, that just blows my mind. Yeah, the Boston takes have been weird throughout all these lists.
Yeah, some are way too high, some
are way too
low.
Like, it's crazy.
They're all over the place. And that's what happens when you have a season that's such an insane outlier.
Yeah.
Like last year.
Overall, though, that's not a bad list.
Maybe people had him low down because he couldn't convince Bergeron to come back. Who knows?
But that's not his fault. Like, it's Bergeron. Like, dude's...
Of course not.
Dude could literally, honestly, if Bergeron got hit too hard, he honestly could almost die. Well, like, due to the amount of...
You could probably say that for...
I mean, yeah, but, like, just due to the amount of, like, injuries, like the amount of injuries that dude has battled through, like, I'm surprised he even played last year.
Dude, I'm surprised he's played after 2011. Dude just played in the playoffs with a punctured lung.
Yeah, like, the dude has just had so many injuries. Like, that's... Yeah, anyone that would blame the GM for knocking him aside is like... No one, like, could convince Bergeron to come back. Like, the dude loves the game, and even he had to realize, like, it's time. Like, he can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And fair enough.
Yeah. I do think... And so... This comes almost unique with being a Tampa fan perspective on Julien Brisebois. But one of my favorite things about him is he gets his shit done in the off season.
Yeah,
we never have to worry about
he does
getting the contract extensions during the season, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, he does get shit done. He doesn't wait around.
Yeah, he really only has to ever make moves at the deadline to stock up at the end because he's kept the team together the off season before.
Yeah. That is true. I will give him that. I do respect that he doesn't wait around. He gets it done.
If you asked me like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I wouldn't even be able to think of a bad deal he's made. Honestly.
Yeah.
Since then, he's definitely made a couple more that don't look as good, at least.
Yeah. Like the Janot one hurts, but the Brandon Hagel one I think kind of saves them there.
That one,
I think they kind of cancel each other out now.
And honestly, I think both teams love that. They have 2 firsts from it. They got Radish, who's been great. Like the Chooks even been playing, and we got Hagel for 9 more years now.
Yeah. Yeah, but that one worked out well for both sides.
Yeah. I do definitely wish we could have got a little bit more back for McDonough, but at the same time, I know a lot of people were just upset when that trade happened just because people didn't think we'd be able to offload him for a cap dump. But I mean, he's, who if you're not competing right away, who cares if you're helping a team that's going to win?
Yeah, especially a team that's not even in your conference or anything.
I am so not a fan of people being like, this team put themselves in cap hell. Now nobody's going to help them and they're screwed. It's like, but if you're Arizona, you don't care if Tampa Bay is insanely good right now. Take the good player and flip him for something, or take a pick with him. You know, you don't care.
Exactly.
Not right now. So.
Yeah. No, I completely agree on that. So that kind of wraps up the GM's list there, and all of our fan polls that we had kind of brought up here.
Yep.
And then that wraps up the Metro Division preview. That wraps up the whole Eastern Conference now, because you can go back and listen to the Atlantic Division to hear our previews and predictions on that. Next episode, I think we're going to be doing the Central, just kind of moving along through the league. Anything you want to add in last before we bounce out?
No, I think we covered all the teams really well. It's I can't believe that we had all 16 teams in the same positions. Just I had a 4-4 split for playoff teams. You had a 3-5.
Yeah.
There was multiple teams that I thought for sure you would have different.
I didn't think we were gonna have the same. That's pretty impressive. So round of applause to us for that. Way to go, team.
I wonder if it'll be the same way for the Pacific. Probably not.
I don't think Central or Pacific. I think we're gonna do bad on those. I think we're gonna have very different opinions on that one.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a clear cut and dry as the East. I don't think.
No, it's
a lot more middle of the pack teams, whereas the other ones are very top heavy and low.
I'm also really high on Anaheim this season, so
yeah, I'm not. So there we go. We're already off to a bad start. Thanks to everybody for listening. Make sure to I don't fucking know. You can't like and subscribe on these platforms, but if you can, feel free to. You can rate us 5 stars, actually.
You can follow us on a lot of them.
Yeah.
They can follow us and then
rate us 5 stars.
Show up on their home feed and stuff.
Yeah. And make sure to, keep an eye out for the Central Division to come out, if that's one of your teams, or Pacific, which will come after that. And, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys soon.